I'm Richard.
And I'm Will.
And together we're
The Irreverent Nerds. Bum, bum, bum.
Hey, Dean. Thank you for being on the podcast today. I'll just introduce you right quick. Dean Rankine is a Ledger and Stanley Award-winning comic book artist and writer best known for his work on Simpsons comics. His other credits include Futurama, Rick and Morty, Invader Zim, Underdog, Augie and the Cockroaches, I Hate Fairyland, and the Riverdale Diaries starring Veronica. He's the illustrator on the Timmy the Ticked Off Pony series, written by Magda Zubanski, and the writer-illustrator on the new book series Death Metal Emo Elves.
That's right. Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Dean, welcome to the Irreverent Nerds podcast.
Thank you. So if you're not picking it up from the accent, I'm Australian. I'm based here in Melbourne, where it's now summer, which is pretty nice. Finally.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Not only are you 14 hours ahead of us, I think. Is this what?
I think it's it's 12 hours, so about 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday.
Yeah, nice.
So here, the future is now. So I'm in the future and I'm in summer.
Wow. I didn't realize it was summer over there.
Yeah. We'll say it's a nice day. It's like something like 34 degrees Celsius here today. I don't know what what that is in Fahrenheit, 90, something like that, I guess. But yeah, it's a nice day. It's warm.
Sounds about right. That was one thing I was not taught much of in school. You know, us arrogant Americans, we have to have our own system, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
I think we tried to do. Some people have tried to get us to go metric, and it's just too much opposition.
It's just not happening yet.
I guess.
I guess not.
That's not a thing. I always find it really interesting, like because I work for a lot of American companies, like things like page sizes, and it's so many inches, and it's hard to get my head around it myself as well. So yeah,
It must be a nightmare.
oh yeah, it's not so bad. Yeah, hopefully if I've got a template to work with, it's not too bad. But yeah, it's a little bit weird to try to to work within the system.
Well, how did you and Dean get to know each other? Because I know he came to us through you. So how did you guys meet, online or in person? Or
Well, I was just talking with Dean before the recording, and we don't have to get into details about this, but I started following him a webcomic he used to do, and he sent me a paperback copy through the mail. And then later, so I don't remember exactly what year, if I was in animation college or if it was after that, but I found him on Facebook, and we've been friends on Facebook since then.
Yeah, I don't actually remember sending the comic, but I've got a bad memory, but I do remember the Facebook bit. So we've been Facebook friends for a little while, and it's been nice that Will's been supportive of my work.
awesome! You were officially our first international guest.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we're coming up on 100 episodes, and we've had a few guests over the years. It is years now, plural. You're our first international guest, so congratulations.
I'm going to try to speak slow so you don't lose me on my accent, because I was in San Diego a few years ago and nobody could understand anything I was saying. So
Really?
you have to sort of slow it down a little bit because of the accent. So
I've always loved the Australian accent. Ever since I had to do like a research project in 5th grade on Australia, and I've always been intrigued by the country ever since then, and always thought the accent is awesome. So
yeah, it's an interesting place, and the Australian accent's very nasally, and also depends on where you are as well in Australia. Same with the States, I'm sure. You have certain like twangs and stuff like that, where regional things, and we have the further, like where Melbourne is, we're down the bottom. But the further you go up, it's more like g'day, mate. This kind of nasal kind of thing going on. So we end in a sort of a rise instead of a fall. So but it's interesting. So you can it's not as split as the States, but I think you can sometimes tell where someone is from by the slight accent difference. Yeah. So yeah, that's my my Australian information dump for you.
Nice.
So, would you say that Crocodile Dundee is offensive?
Oh no, it's dumb.
I'm just picking.
But,
I'm just picking.
Yeah, no, not offense. But it's interesting because I think for a lot of Americans, like that was the biggest kind of exposure of our country. You know, I was thinking just the other day how important I think Mad Max is as
Right, yeah.
as an Australian showcase, because it's very Australian, even though it's a post-apocalyptic kind of nightmare fuel. There's majority of the actors are Australian, but everyone, like, they speak in an Australian accent, which for a relatively small country when it comes to media, like most actors would like come to the States and put on an American accent, like Margot Robbie, or that kind of thing, like to survive. Even for me as a comic book artist, I have to convert to Americanisms. Like when I was working on Simpsons, so I was writing that as well.
Cool.
I'll have to think about, I don't know, translations, even small things like I don't know, smoked ham and all, those kinds of things that we wouldn't use. I'm always conscious of how I spell color, because we don't spell it like how you spell it. And so I need to, when I'm doing any kind of emails to editors and things like that, I'll try to change it to American spelling when I can. But again, on Simpsons again, when I went to San Diego a few years ago, I was shocked that like the streets actually looked like in like the Simpsons comic and in the TV show, like the street lamps and the sidewalks and the police cars. Like, oh my god, it's all just like Simpsons, but in real life.
Nice.
So yeah, because you kind of like, we're obviously brought up very much on a American culture, movies and TV shows, but actually see it in real life was really special, I thought. And lots of fun.
I can see you've got, speaking of American TV shows and movies, I see the Ghostbusters and Batman back there.
Yeah. So this is you're in my studio space where I work, but it's basically really a great place for me to keep all my toys and things. So I've got lots of Simpsons and figures and things like that. But I need my space because I'm a professional comic book artist and writer, so I have to have this space.
Yeah. We just moved into a new house, but like my wife's an artist. She does watercolor primarily, and we've got a room upstairs which we're in right now. I kind of have like a little tiny corner of it for my office, but the rest is her art, going to be her art studio. So we're in the process of getting it all set up. And
that's cool, actually. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's so excited. Like she has not had that before. It's been like dual purpose rooms in the past more so, and now she's got some space to spread out a bit.
Yeah, she'd be stoked. Like in our previous house, I had like a room, and then we had a child, so I moved from that room to the other room. Then we had another child, so I moved into the wardrobe. The wardrobe.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And eventually we put a little sort of studio space out the back, but we've moved into this house about 5 years ago, and it says like it's nice to have a dedicated area inside the house that's bigger than a wardrobe. But yeah, I do tend to spread out a little bit, putting toys and things everywhere.
Yeah, Will's got his man cave.
Yeah.
I'm
I had big dreams of being a cartoonist, but I didn't become as successful as you, Dean. So most of my artwork I do in my car when I on breaks at work, but in my house I have a studio. I just don't use it.
It's tough out there, I think, too. I think it's yes, it's about skill, but like I do conventions and people come up and show me their portfolios, and it's amazing. You see people's work is extraordinary, and it is about kind of being in the right place at the right time. And I've been very fortunate. Like my big break was Simpsons, but I was 38 before I got that. So
Yeah.
I'd been plugging away a lot prior to that. And it's in my motto is always like the hustle and grind. You have to hustle constantly for work, and then you've got to work really hard when you've got it, because it may not be there for long. Uh, as a kid, it was always what I wanted to do. I wanted to draw. It's my like my youngest memories as a child was, what do you want to do? Kids want to be firemen, or I wanted to be a cartoonist. That's what I wanted. So I got that, which is amazing, but also it's harder than I thought it would be. That you have this child's view of things. Like, you get to draw and it's amazing. And now I was like, I've got to draw. Like at the moment, I've
Oh,
got a
I
pretty,
understand.
pretty tight deadline. So I'm just drawing every day. So, which kind of sounds amazing and kind of torturous at the same time. So it's a little bit of both, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I've heard that from many creatives. Like that is one of the tough parts is when you're doing it for money as well. It's like hard to keep the enjoyment sometimes. Which I guess is true
Yeah,
for most people that if you're doing a job, even if it's something that you enjoy in and of itself, like there's still the grind. Like you said, it's hard to.
right. Everything's a job eventually, and I'm not complaining because I'm very fortunate. There's nothing I want to do more than this, so I'm not complaining. But it's yeah, um, I think it's harder than I imagined. I should know as well. I do like so just to survive. My wife works; she works full time. I have a part time job, 12 hours a week. So I don't know if you have over here. Over here we have a thing called a needle and syringe program. So what I do is work on an outreach program, and we
Yeah.
provide clean injecting equipment to drug users. So I've been doing that for about 23 years.
Yeah, you were doing that when we first started talking.
Yeah, a long time
Yeah.
ago. So youth work was kind of my qualification as such because even though I wanted to draw, you have to pay the bills. You have to be grown up, So
Yeah.
I've done a lot of different sort of community roles. This is finally a really nice balance. Like 12, 3 evenings a week, I go out, do a job that I find important and meaningful. But then other times I can just draw and get my stuff done.
That sounds pretty cool, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's always cool to find work that's meaningful that that's helping other people too. That
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's always um, I'd never been good at selling things, or I was always and that's why I wanted to have some kind of meaning in what I do, and even now drawing, I still find it meaningful. I'm not sure if it's meaningful for others, but it's meaningful for me. I'm sure it's therapy.
Yeah.
This is like you were saying, you're drawing in your car, and I had this little note that I put up a while ago, like you're happier when you draw, and I am. I'm happier when I'm drawing. I don't know what it does exactly, but when it's that creative aspect, I think is I don't know something really important to me. I don't know what I'll do when I'm not able to do it anymore because I guess everything has a time limit because I have no other coping skills besides working, besides drawing. So I might find myself floundering for a while after that. But so I'm just gonna at this stage just keep on going till I have to stop.
I was thinking like what was some of the earliest projects that you worked on, and maybe what was the very first one you got paid for, where you're like, wow, I
Yeah.
got money for this.
Yeah. I think it was. I was doing some magazine work, so I went to. We have this thing called TAFE. So it's a 2-year course in art and design. I did 89, 90. I'm just trying to think what maybe like a community college kind of level, maybe. And I'm just trying to think the first thing I got. I think it was for a show. Like it was a design for a. We have a thing called the Melbourne Show. It's like an agricultural show. I think I got paid for that stuff. And we'll like so then I did some stuff for Australian Mad magazine. So we have Mad you've got Mad magazine, of course, but there was an Australian version of Mad magazine. So
I would like to read that actually.
Yeah. So you could still have the majority of the American version, but then you would have some Australian input within it, maybe some covers and some. So I did some spot illustrations,
some unique jokes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and some things. I mean, I would read Mad magazine pretty religiously, and loved it, like Sergio Aragonés's.
I was just thinking of him.
My favorite artist on the planet, and but some of the satire is very specifically American, and doesn't necessarily translate. So it was nice to have a little bit of Australian in that occasionally. So yeah, I just did everything. So I will kind of put on this. So I used to be a Christian, and I'm not a Christian anymore.
Yeah,
but I was, and so I was doing a lot of magazine work for the Salvation Army over here. They had kids, a sort of kids magazine, and that was like a fair majority of my work. Then I had like sort of a crisis of faith, and didn't want to do it anymore. And I was doing some stuff for for kids magazines in here in Australia in the supermarket. They would sell some magazines specifically for kids. So I was working there, and that dried up. So it was an interesting kind of time for me, that period. Your screen's popped off. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I'll keep talking.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay, great.
Our camera's on the fritz.
So it was a really hard time for me. But so then I went to my local supermarket, and at the time they used to see what magazines or comics they were selling. They used to sell them at the supermarket, and I picked up a Simpsons comic, and it all looked really good. But there was one page that was kind of off model and not as good as the others. And I thought, if I tried really hard, I could just about be the worst Simpsons comic artist, right? I tried hard. I could just about get to this point here, because I was very indie kind of comic style. My anatomy was all over the place. So what happens, at the time, you could actually email submissions to Bongo Comics. And so I started emailing submissions. And so what I would do, like, is sort of 2-page kind of things, backup stories. I would write, pencil, ink, color, everything, send it off with the hope that they would look at it. So I wasn't just sending, here's my picture of Bart, here's a complete story. So it only took a couple. By the time I'd sent a couple off, they got back to me and said, yeah, they would like it and want to use it, which was like incredible for me. And so I remember like the first one I got in, I thought, oh, what if that's it? Like I could, how I want to make it. I want to be able to do this. What if I only get one? Do you tell people if you only get one? Is that success? Fortunately, they liked what I was doing, so they kept using me. So I would say, oh, there's a Krusty the Clown comic that we want to do. Can you send some story ideas? So because of the time difference, they would contact me on that day. So I would work furiously throughout the day. And I'm predominantly an illustrator as opposed to a writer in my mind. So anything that I did, it wasn't normally a script I would send, but I would send a rough, like, a quick rough comic, and send it off. So I'd do, like, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 ideas during that day. And so then they'd wake up, they get to work the next day, and open their emails, and if by magic, as if it's because of the time difference, it's like magical elves have suddenly overnight presented all these ideas, and then they'll go, "Oh yeah, we like this one or this one." There were always very few changes. They would, yeah, we like it or we don't like it, and so I would just like keep sending stuff off. And thought if they ever need a backup story, at least that's sitting there, and so they'll go, yeah, well, let's do this one. So majority of my work was backup stories. I had a couple main bigger stories, and over that time, I tried really hard to hone my skills and be more on model than, because again, the start was pretty rough, and I don't know why they did, yes, but they did.
Although in fairness
go
to
on.
you, the beginnings of the series was also pretty rough. Like I was
Yeah.
People would
watched...
say, yeah, it's pretty, really rough, and they'll go, yeah, it's very much like that style. And I took a lot of pride at the end of it to go, you know what, anybody could have drawn that. It didn't necessarily have to be me, but people come up to me at conventions and go, oh, I can pick your work a mile off, because as I'm trying to squeeze or change my style to fit, they think they're giving me a compliment, but I really want to be able to go, oh, I couldn't necessarily pick that this is a Dean Rankin Simpsons comic, but you can generally can. But it's interesting, so something like that, it's meant that if you've worked on The Simpsons, people assume that you know what you're doing. From that, it's like, yeah, okay, oh, well, Simpsons, shit, he knows what he's doing. So I've been sort of faking it my entire career since then. But also a lot of my work has been, interestingly, aping other people's style. I'm very cartoony. I can't draw Batman to save myself. But if it's cartoony enough, I can actually go, oh yeah, I can draw Rick and Morty. Okay, I can work it out, and I can tell a story with those characters. Or I did a graphic novel. This is, can you see that? Okay, so graphic novel, Riverdale
cool.
Diaries.
Uh-huh.
So it's really neat. It's a nice little comic. I don't think it sold very well, but it's
with Archie, right?
Yeah, so it's Archie Comics, but aged down. So middle grade.
Okay.
And they contacted me. So this was book 2. There's an illustrator named Jay Bone who did the first one, who does beautiful work. But my job was basically copying his style. It's an interesting journey. I can't really say that, but yeah, it's an interesting journey for me, copying other people's styles for money. And then I think in some ways that style then kind of bleeds into my own style. I think I have a distinct style, but you can't help but pick up little pieces of other stuff. So I think it's actually made me a better illustrator by being able to do that. Before Simpsons, I would I'll start with the eye and kind of just build out from then. But I really need to work on my substructure because the Simpsons, there's Bart has 9 points on his head. Like the pupils can only be certain sizes, and so I've been able to take that knowledge and I think it improved my my own art because of it. It's been a nice journey.
I didn't know that Bart had a actual canon spike count.
Yeah. There's a book that it's shredded because I kept using it all the time because it's great about all the characters and how to draw the characters.
I was like the Simpsons Bible for artists. Kind of
yeah. I wonder if it's handy. I'll give me a sec. So this is, I don't know if you can see this. So this is the book, and what I did was mark each page to go. Okay, well, if I'm drawing Marge, for instance, this is how you draw Marge.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a great book if you want to draw Simpsons, but it's let me recommend that to you. And but yeah, it's pretty. It's falling apart. Yeah, because I think it's interesting. Dust on it. Because you think, Bart Simpson's not hard to draw, and then you draw Bart and you go, oh, he's not quite right. It's one of those, when it's not right. So it's yeah. I always if you think Simpsons is easy to draw, yeah, give it a shot. Is my theory.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to give that a shot. I hadn't drawn The Simpsons much before.
Yeah. So, do you have any questions for me? By the way, I'm rabbiting it on here. Ask away.
How did you come up with heavy metal emo elves? Is that like I'm joking when I say this? Is that like a Ninja Turtle thing?
Yeah. So it's death metal emo elves. Again, I'll grab it off my brave shelf. Is the book Death Metal Emo Elves?
Nice.
And so I think I definitely came up with the name first. I thought it was funny, and it has like a Ninja Turtle ring to it.
Yeah.
Death Metal Emo Elves. I had another comic years ago called Itty Bitty Bunnies in Rainbow Pixie Candyland, which was about naked drug using bunny rabbits. But this is much more like, so I had this idea. I wanted to, comics are hard to survive in. And I wanted to show that these are illustrated books. I wanted to show that I could draw, has that like an illustrated book kind of thing, and write it. Because these things are really popular here. And things like, and I'm sure that would be there too, like, Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah.
That kind of level stuff seemed to be a good option for me to maybe transition into or move into. And I tried everywhere. I sent them to every publisher that I could think of. Fortunately, a small publisher in Sydney picked it up.
Nice.
So I've just finished completed book 3 now. So it'd be great if it got international distribution, but we'll see how we go. So I've been working on that. It's been a crazy year. Worked on that this year. I did a thing called Can You Find the Easter Bunny for Scholastic Australia, and that's about finding the Easter Bunny. Where's Wally or where's Waldo there?
Oh, Dean,
Waldo?
apologies. Yes. I'll need to interrupt you here. We need to take a break with our Zoom recording here.
No worries.
Yeah, we're running out of time on this session, but we will come back with another session and continue the interview.
Awesome. I'll fill my cup up and talk to you.
All right. Cheers. See you in a minute.
Bye.
Nerds, we would like to hear from you. Yes, you. You can send us a voice message if you go to our Spotify for Podcasters profile. You can get there by going to irreverentnerds.com. There is a message button. You can click on that. You can leave us a voice message. If you do that, we will include it in next week's episode. You can also follow us on social media. Our Instagram handle is @irreverent_nerds. We are on Facebook simply as The Irreverent Nerds. YouTube, The Irreverent Nerds, once again. And that's it. Those are only places where you can find us at the present, beyond, of course, your podcast app. So, if you find us in one of those spots, please feel free to let us know what you think of our episodes, whether you like them, dislike them, you're ambivalent, whatever you want to say, give us your 2 cents. Thank you, nerds. Now back to this week's episode. Nerds, we're back here with Dean Rankine. So, Dean, I have a question for you. I'm looking at your Wikipedia page here. And I see that you have a Malevolent Mr. Burns #1 credit that you worked on.
Mm-hmm.
What is that story about? And is it all about me?
Yeah, nice. I'm pretty sure it's a tall. There might be a couple of short stories in that. At least one of them is there's a bear in his office, a stuffed bear in Mr. Burns' office, and it's a tall tale about how he killed this bear and stuffed it. That's nice. But the gag at the end is that he's like he bought it in some shop. But I did like that. yeah, the like any in like it's a fun way to get ideas. Like, how how did that bear get there? Or that kind of thing. So I liked it. It was nice to be able to put little Easter eggs into the comic book.
Awesome.
That is great. I love that you worked on that, and I saw also that you worked on at least one issue of a Futurama comic, which we're also fans of.
Yeah. The I did a like a story with the those newsreaders, windmills don't work that way. You know those guys.
Uh-huh.
I love Futurama as well, and so at conventions, it's been really nice because what I do at conventions, I draw people's heads in jars like Futurama.
Oh
or,
yeah, nice.
I do like a Simpsonized version of people. I don't do commissions outside of conventions, but it's one of my favorite things to do at a con. You have a chat to somebody and you sketch away. I don't rush it. It takes about 25 minutes or something, or find out what they do, and then and put their heads in a jar. I always find it weird when people ask me to draw their babies. Can you draw my baby's head in a jar? And,
That's a little
yes,
weird.
I can for money. Yeah, I'll do that for money.
Yeah. Put him right next to Richard Nixon. Put him next to Richard Nixon.
That's right. The my saddest one was because I pre-draw the jars penciled, and this guy I was doing an install once, and the guy said, "Oh, can you draw me my head and my dog's head in this jar together?" I think, this guy's just trying to get something for half price. But he said, this is a tragic story. He goes, I'm actually putting my dog down tomorrow because I love my dog. He's really unwell, and so I was happy to oblige. Still charged him my $50 for it, but yeah, it was. So that's happened a couple of times. Yeah, I've drawn, I don't know, uncles who have passed away, or I drew a kid once who had a terminal illness and that kind of thing, and they passed away. But it's a nice little keepsake. If you're a fan of The Simpsons, I think it's a nice little keepsake. It's kind of like what conventions are. You want this, you love this property so much, you just want to have a little small thing to take home with you. I think that's what it's what we love about them. But I'm not a big fan of those. Those caricatures that you might get on a boardwalk about, really big heads and little bodies, and hey, do you like roller skates? And here's you playing. I like what I do because yes, it's a caricature, but I'm not trying to make someone feel bad about the way they look if they, and so I might take a hit and go, okay, well, I might, I don't know, shave a little bit off the nose, and I'll make it more like a Simpsons than it, So there's scope. You can go, okay, well, it could be look a lot more like the person. You go, I might tone that, the size of the ears down a little bit and just make it more like a Simpsons character, But yeah, it's a fun thing to do. Keeps me out of trouble.
Nice.
So I had a question. What were the name of those awards?
The Ledger and the Stanley Awards.
Yeah. Do you guys have a National Cartoonist Society over there, or is that more of an American thing?
Yeah, we do. It's called the Australian Cartoonists Association.
Oh, cool.
And that's what that Stanley Award was for book illustration. So it's a fun group. It's an older crew as far as cartoonists goes, and I think most cartoonists and cartoon organizations are struggling because the comic strip isn't in newspapers like it once was. We recently had a major newspaper group just cancel all comic strips. I think so things like I think newspapers are in serious trouble. Who reads newspapers? I don't. It's not where I get my news from. So I think it's an interesting time for cartoonists in general about, okay, how do we work this out? And I think it's like comic artists as well. It's like comics are selling, but are they necessarily the ones that have always sold? Because it's we used to be able to buy. We had news agents and would be able to sell you'd buy comic books there, but now comic books are basically predominantly only sold in comic specific shops, a comic book store. How do you get young people into reading those comics? And but I find that I find a little hope in broader publishers like Scholastic or these kind of major publishers of books now heading towards graphic novels. And I think that really kind of the future of comics in some ways will be, obviously there'll always be the Spider-Man and the Batman and that type of thing, but maybe this is the more like where's the young person's gateway drug to getting to comic book stores. And I think we're going to find that it is going to be more through major book publishers and picking them up in the library. Now there's a library, the section, like when I used to work in a library many years ago for a few years, and we never had a comic book section. But now there is a graphic novel section. And like there's a manga section. So I think there's a lot of hope for comic books in the future. It may not necessarily be going down the same track as we have in the past, though. So I think it's interesting days to see how it washes up.
Yeah, I've noticed a trend. There's more nonfiction or like nonfiction adjacent graphic novels popping up, like people telling their stories in graphic novel form, or like biopics almost, like, but in graphic novel form. I've seen that.
Absolutely, which is quite amazing, I think. Yeah, it's really interesting. Like in Australia, we don't have a comic book industry as such. Like there's not really, like, there's no major publishers here, comic book specific publishers. There's one publisher great called Gestalt, but there's only limited what they're able to do. So the majority of comic book artists and creators here are indie creators who will produce their own work, or who'll do their own autobiographical work, or much more in an indie kind of way of working. So I find it really interesting when people say, "Oh, I draw comics." They go, "Oh, you must draw Batman." And you go, "Well, that's not, it's a really a small amount." Like you could put, like, I don't know, like 4 cartoonists from Melbourne in a room, and we're all actually working on very different things. You know? So you might be, like, say in Melbourne, for instance, we've got Tom Taylor, the writer. I don't know if you know Tom Taylor. He's won awards. He's working on Nightwing. He's very well known. So we've got his kind of scale of stuff. Then we've got just the full indie kind of creators who produce their own work on photocopiers and send them, put them around. And there's I guess me somewhere in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an interesting kind of it's an interesting place. It's very again very indie directed.
It's like this is, I guess, a bit of an American reference, but like the Wild West of comic books.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting. I mean, like with comics, there's no gatekeepers. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Well, yeah, and it's much easier to self-publish now than it used to be. You can
absolutely,
throw something.
And I think also, this thing called the internet now, which is cool. I don't know, but also like to get yourself out there through a webcomic and stuff like that, it's doable. If you want to tell a story, you can get it out there. Making money by telling it, that's the whole different deal of that's. I think that's a very much that's completely different. So
I self-publish, and the money is not there for me.
I know, and like. And it's just like when I went to San Diego Comic-Con, it was like, it's huge, right? You go, oh my God, it's huge. But then you see how it works, and this is just like a convention here. So we have comic book conventions here, not as big as that, but the same kind of thing. Okay, here's the famous people, here's the stars over here, here's the indie comic guys over there. And it's just like indie comic creators get ignored just the same at San Diego, like they do at home. but it's just on a the ignore on a bigger scale kind of thing, So it's RSL is always a bit of it's a tough slog, particularly if you're not known for anything, But that's how I started out. I was producing my own work and getting ignored. Yeah.
Maybe you could pull an Eastman and Laird to reference some American comedies and create your own studio. Your own publishing company.
My name dropping. I met Kevin Eastman has been over here for a couple of times for a convention. And,
oh, nice,
cool.
And I said, and he said, "Oh, I don't draw so well." And I said, "Yeah," and it was like, but that's not what that was for us. Was hope. I remember I would be on the bus going to my art course in the rain. It was like an hour on the bus plus to get to where I was going, and walk back. And it was like, oh my God, one day this is going to pay off. And, I would think about Ninja Turtles. Like Ninja Turtle, that's the way to do it. I just need my Ninja Turtle moment.
Yeah.
And my Ninja Turtle moment and I think we're all hoping for a Ninja Turtle moment. Hasn't quite happened yet for me. I don't know about you guys, but but my thinking is if I can have that balance of working on known properties, which I thoroughly enjoy, and getting paid for that, which is even better, but then to be able to work on my own stuff as well concurrently, I think that's really important. Like Death Metal in My Owls, or this, the Where's the Easter Bunny book I was saying about, so if I can do, both I think are commercially viable. I still don't work for free, but I think there's that there's space for those things.
That's my problem, Dean. I've worked for free.
I think to be honest, I have worked for free even now, but it depends on what it is. If someone I know, if there's something that I'm interested in, or I have time, or sometimes if it's like, I don't know, I did a pin-up for Felix the Cat comic.
Yeah.
Wow, that's worth it. I'll take a hit for something that's worth it. And your screen's gone again. I can't see you. I don't know if that's important.
We'll fix that here in a second.
Oh, the video popped out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be the USB port that I'm using for the camera. Like usually we use a different one, and I don't know if that's the issue or not, but there we go. Back up again.
Do you want me to let you know when it's happening, or just ignore it?
Just ignore it.
Well, it shows up on our side.
Oh, you know. Okay, cool.
It just pops up with my picture,
it does.
And this is audio. This is audio only anyway. So.
Oh, right. Okay.
So okay. I mean, we could do the video episode, but we don't really have our nice studio set up.
Space for it. Yeah. I get that.
And it's like it's a 9:20 p.m. here in the eastern U.S., so we don't have the nice natural lighting that you've got going on right now.
Also not summer.
That's true. It's fall.
Yeah.
It's autumn here, or fall.
During summer, does it get cold? You're in Louisiana, yeah?
North Carolina. Yeah,
North Carolina.
We're kind of in the, I guess we call the Piedmont region, so we're not quite in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. We're a little bit east of that. So we get really weird weather here. Like we get some weather fronts coming in from the coast, from the eastern seaboard over toward Wilmington, and then we'll get some coming down from the mountains as well. So like from one day to the next, it can be kind of crazy.
Yep.
And I work outside. Sometimes it's like freezing in the morning, then in the afternoon it's like 80.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But particularly Melbourne has where I am. They have this reputation of like the 4 seasons in one day, and it's like, okay, this is it's 1 o'clock. It's like this, and it's 2 o'clock. It's like it's something completely different.
And it's Melbourne. I know most of the major cities are coastal there, right? Like Melbourne is like near the coast.
I think pretty much every major city is on the water. Yeah. So where I am, I'm an hour south of Melbourne, and about 10 minutes from the beach.
And Melbourne,
Um,
is that like the metropolitan area there? Is that around 1 million people, kind of that? Or is it bigger
I
than that?
I don't know what the numbers are. I think just recently we are the most populated city in Australia. I think we've just beat Sydney
Ah, nice.
for that. Yeah,
Bragging
yeah, yeah,
rights.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a oh, it's like that. Melbourne, Sydney,
Rivalry.
yeah, rivalry. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yep. All
Yeah.
right, ask
So,
away. I'm ready to receive.
So, what did you got those awards? What did you get the awards for exactly? Was it the work
Yeah.
on Simpsons
So
or?
one was the Ledger Award is for our comics, and you could say it's kind of maybe like a Ringo Award. Or it's like not as it's not as organized as something like an Eisner Award, but
Oh, right.
um, that was for my comic book Itty Bitty Bunnies in Rainbow Pixie Candyland.
Oh, okay.
nice.
Then yeah, that's yeah. Again, they're like naked bunny rabbits that use drugs and are really hedonistic. And so yeah, that's a weird one. That was a weird time in my life. And and the other one was for book illustration for the Stanley Award, and that was for the Australian Cartoonists Association. So I was really really pleased to get both of those. It's nice to be acknowledged by your peers. And also, it's nice to be able to put on your resume again, even if people don't know what it is. They go, "Oh, it sounds kind of cool. You've got a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
award. It's kind of neat."
I
Yeah,
have to admit, I didn't expect the naked drugs
The naked
yeah,
rabbits.
yeah.
from the from the title.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very, um, yeah, yeah. I have this really like I don't know cute things doing disgusting stuff. There's something about that kind of thing that's really neat. So I've done some work with Scotty Young with the I Hate
Oh
Fairyland
yeah.
series. Um, so when Scotty approached me about those, I was like, oh wow, it's like this is really in my wheelhouse, So absolutely, so yeah, so yeah, cute things being disgusting, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Call me anytime.
I think didn't the you were telling me this the other day? Well, the Simpsons, didn't they start out as rabbits?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, so the From Hell kind of comic strip that Matt Groening was doing. Yeah, 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 yeah. That wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I do like that kind of thing. I've always liked that kind of animation and stuff like that. That's kind of aimed at adults or has an adult feel to it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, no. When he was telling me, I was like, "That's awesome!" Like rabbits from
Mm-hmm.
hell.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah.
um, so Dean, I'm curious. Do you have a favorite Simpsons character, and which one
Uh,
is there? One you haven't drawn yet that you'd like to draw? Twofold
uh,
question there.
yeah, yeah. So I've never drawn Kane Kronos, the aliens,
Oh.
Oh
and
yeah.
I sent so many story ideas off, but it never happened. So the Simpsons comic book is finished now. By the way,
Oh.
there's actually done. So I worked on it for 8 years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So they've been reproducing some work. There's a really nice volume of the Treehouse of Horror one that's come out recently. I've got some work in, but the actual comic, the monthly comic, isn't running anymore. So I tried to do some King and Kronos, but it never happened. I would have liked to have done that. The character I like to draw the most is Sideshow Bob, and
Oh,
so
Ah.
and the character I like the most is Millhouse. I just think he's tragically sad. I think he's funny. The I found the main characters probably the hardest to draw. That because I think you just know them so well, and if you don't do that right. It doesn't look quite right. I've always struggled with drawing Lisa and Maggie. I did my best. Still got to draw them, but yeah, they're just. I think it's just because of all the triangles and trying to get the triangles right, and the circle that they're quite. I find them quite tricky to draw. But yeah, Millhouse is my favorite. My favorite episode is the Lisa the Vegetarian episode. I don't know if you recall that one. It's when Homer's cooking a whole pig and it flies through the air and all this stuff happens to it. You know, it's still good. It's still good.
I remember that. I think I remember that episode. I think Mr. Burns was talking about when pigs fly, then the pig flies past his window or something.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah, it's my favorite episode.
Mr. Burns. Well, that's cool. Like, I'm trying to think. What's your favorite Simpsons character, Will? I don't know if I've asked
Homer.
you.
It's
Homer?
definitely Homer.
Okay, Homer.
Yeah.
I did well, and Ned Flanders, but I identify. I'm kind of personally. I think I'm if Homer Simpson and Ned Flanders had a baby.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think isn't it sort of the transition is that you as kids we like Bart, as we get older we like Homer more because we kind of all morph into Homer eventually.
Exactly. That's exactly how it was for me.
Yeah, well, I've got the middle-aged overweight down, and I've got multiple children as well. So, but no, I can definitely like when I first. Will actually got me into The Simpsons, and when
I corrupted him.
Yeah, he corrupted me. When I first started watching, I didn't have any kids, and now I do, and now I'm a parent. And I'm like, wow, I can really relate to a lot of what he and Marge went through, and like even down to we talked about this in our Simpsons episode last week. Like wanting to strangle your kids sometimes. Like I've never done it, of course. Homer has actually done it, but just the like feeling that kind of like frustration.
That'd be so nice to be able to do. Absolutely.
It's like so I can relate more to Homer now than I used to be able to. Yeah,
it's nice when people come to me at convention like this. The Simpsons still continues to have a really strong and nice fan base. You know, it's when my kids were little, because like I'm signing things at conventions, and they would ask me if I was famous. And no, but I'm like one of those, those really big sharks that swim around the ocean. They all have those like little fish on them that feed off them. I'm like I'm like one of those little fish, and it's solid work. There's nothing wrong with being a little fish that feeds off big fish. But I've made a career out of it.
Hey, yeah, and like. And you never know where that would lead, Maybe,
maybe that's
some
right.
Of your own stuff one day will be the big fish. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, that's kind of the hope that maybe it will. I don't expect it to be as big as The Simpsons. I think The Simpsons will be the biggest thing that I'll work on in my life. But it is nice it's nice to be able to make your own things.
Yeah,
as well.
Well, now that The Simpsons monthly has wrapped up. If you could work on something else like The Simpsons, what would it be?
Yeah. So I've done some Rick and Morty, and I really like working on Rick and Morty. I would love to work on. I tried hard to get onto SpongeBob comic, but that didn't happen either. That's finished as well because they were kind of like a sister publisher. So I pitched that a few times, and I ended up doing a dream sequence in one of my stories where Bart is SpongeBob, where SpongeBob, and like all the other characters are morphed into SpongeBob characters just to scratch that itch. So yeah, that kind of thing.
I feel like
there's nothing like. Sorry,
that should be a couch gag.
Yeah.
Just submit that as a couch gag. You never know.
Yeah. So there's nothing like necessarily like that I must draw at the moment. I'm open to the universe to whatever I score at the moment.
I saw you did a cover for Sonic the Hedgehog, but I don't know if IDW actually
No. So I tried. So like IDW, I had a meeting with a guy when I was at San Diego and kept sending stuff in and never heard back. Um, I've done a couple pages for Dark Horse, and I've tried to get more work with them. It hasn't been successful. I tried Boom so many times. Boom would have like a Facebook page that you could submit to, but I never heard back, and I just think it was just just things that fell into the ether, you know. But again, that's that hustle component.
Yeah.
Um, I would like send stuff off to a publisher and go, well, didn't hear back. Oh, well, it's been about 6 months. I'll try again, and I'll send more stuff off. And I've actually had work through that kind of quietly being stubborn and go, okay, well, just they didn't say no, so
Yeah.
I should at least try it again, and over time you're improving because you're working on your craft and you're working on other things. So you go, okay, it's time for me to try this again. I am tired of that though. I've done it for
Yeah.
52 now,
I can
and
imagine.
this has been a slog. Every little crumb that you kind of have to work for to try and get work. So I wish it was easier. I wish it wasn't quite as hard. And I get that it's like, and I understand why people get frustrated and kind of go, okay, well, I'm not doing this anymore. It's like death by 1,000 cuts in some ways. It's not. It's not like it's a huge moneymaker. But again, there's nothing else I want to do. There's imagine I could do this and whatever. It wouldn't make me happy. Nothing else makes me happy. Nothing else. As I said, nothing else makes me happy. So I have to keep doing what I do. So
I understand you.
Yeah.
No, that's great though. Like, because a lot of people don't find that thing. That one thing.
Yeah.
Like I can't say that I myself have found it of like I must do this thing.
Yeah. It's like it's just it's like a blessing and a curse kind of thing, isn't it?
Oh,
It's like some kind of sick fairy tale. Go, I found you found the thing, or something you've always known. This is what makes you happy, but you just can't get enough, or you just you can only have the crumbs from the table of this occasionally. It's depressing, but that you just want to be able to do it all the time. Again, last year was awful. I was trying to make something out of nothing. This year has been amazing. I've had all kinds of work, and early next year is looking really good as well for me. With a number of books and stuff like that I've got to work on. So I don't know. Maybe I've finally, after all these years, finally getting to my happy place. That I can do what I want to do. So
awesome.
Again, it's a privileged position to be in, but it's a hard position to get to.
No, I hear that.
And I mean, I understand everything you're talking about. I haven't worked on The Simpsons, obviously, but it's the one thing I want to do, and it's like I only get crumbs.
Crumb. Yeah.
I understand how you feel.
Yeah. And it's nice to get, and I think it's nice to get bigger crumbs occasionally. You go, oh, this is fantastic, but you never quite make it as such. I think, it's not like, oh, in saying that, I'm really proud of what I've been able to achieve. I can, I feel like I can look back and go, oh yeah, I did some good stuff, but it could have gone really differently for me. Like, I could have gone, oh, that Simpsons comic looks all a bit good for me. It's like maybe I won't send stuff off, or maybe maybe like the editor's having just a bad day and looks at the stuff and go, oh yeah, no, that's not for me, So there's all these little factors that could have changed my life quite dramatically.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but again, I'm really, really pleased about where I'm at. I can still be passionate about my work, which, not everybody can say. Yeah.
Do you ever struggle with losing that passion and needing to regain it?
No,
Good.
no, and I don't. I don't want to be dismissive of that because I understand how some people could be in that situation. But I've had years in my life that I haven't drawn at all. Like I've just gone to work, done youth work, and I was a drug and alcohol counselor for a fair while, and just doing that. But that's never given me the satisfaction than this does. Nothing has sort of scratched that itch. So it's not that. So I don't lose it. It's more like, oh God, this is hard. Like why do I have to do it? Like I have to draw every day. And sometimes I go, oh, that's a bit, be nice to, I don't know, not do that today. But you kind of have to keep going. So I'll trick myself into, I'm drawing a comic at the moment. Can't say what it is, but this is the weirdest process. But currently, I'm only drawing I'm drawing one character at a time. Like I've thumbnailed it all, so I've had the script, I've thumbnailed it, and I've broken up all the panels. So okay, and so what I'm doing at the moment, I'm going, okay, I'm drawing character A. So I'm drawing character A in all these different positions on the panels, how it's supposed to be, because it's like, oh, that's not really like work. Okay, I could draw this character spun around, like it just kind of like this. It's a game for myself, so I can like keep moving, because it's just like I'm worried about the deadline, and I just have to keep moving forward, but I just can't bring myself to go. Okay, I'm just going to do this whole page. Do you know what I mean by that? Is that weird? I don't. It seems like a weird process, and it would be a weird way. People go, "What? That's your process? That's how you're drawing comics?" Normally, you'd find people will go, okay, I'm going to start, okay, I'm going to draw this panel, then I'm going to draw that panel, and go through. But currently, I'm actually just drawing characters. And then I'm going to draw another character, and then I'm going to draw like a third character and come back. At the end, I'm going to ink it all. So it'll all look together.
Yeah.
And you would never know how I've gone about doing it. But it's just, I've kind of discovered this about myself. I'm also currently just playing one song when I'm working on loop over and over and over again. Um, um, and I'm finding that helps with my concentration. I'm not sure what my neurodivergence is, but it's something because that's how I'm working, and it seems to be working. My motto is, as long as I'm just moving forward, I just have to keep going, move forward, move forward, move forward. If that character's not quite on model, okay, I'll try to fix it later on. I'll try to be better in my next one, and you just keep going. Whatever sport analogy you want to go, as long as you're just moving towards the goal, moving towards the touchdown line. That's how much I know about American football. As long as you're moving forward, you're okay. You're not making any mistakes. You're just moving forward. So that's where my headspace is at the moment. It's been a really busy year, kind of tired, but I need to keep going.
I was waiting for you to throw in an Australian rules football
reference
in there or something.
So then, so it's like when the ruck passes to the ruck rover, and
So, hey, well, we do have an international. We do have an international audience, so there might be somebody out there. I know what that is.
Oh yeah, good on you, mate. Very Australian. I feel like I'm depressing you all, but yeah, I just like
no, it's great.
I'm just trying to be honest with like how yes, it's great, but it's hard, and I can't imagine ever doing anything else. And I must keep going as long as I can, because that's what brings me happiness. And then and then at point I know that I'm going to lose it all, because you won't be able to do that forever. Is that sad? I don't think so. It's that the Hindu term about dharma, righteous work that's important. This is how I see my drawing. It's important to me. I will just keep going. So yeah, it's interesting. Just about your question, like, do I get sick of it? Yeah, but it doesn't seem to stop me.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I don't have the time to explain why I was wondering it, but I do have another question. We only have about 2 minutes left for this recording, though. But is there a comic artist or cartoonist that inspired you to want
like anything, whether it was a comic strip, I never knew exactly what I wanted to do, whether it was book illustration or comic strip or cartoon, but I seemed to fell into comics. Sergio Aragonis, I think I mentioned before, would probably still be, and was then, I think, the most amazing cartoonist that's ever walked the earth. Did I know what his name was at the time? No, I just knew him as the guy who, like, the little pictures on the corner of Mad Magazine. So I just knew that I never wanted to, like, copy necessarily other artists per se, but I just wanted to do what they were doing. I didn't have to be the best. I just want to be on the team. Another sports, for someone who doesn't like sport, I just want to pick me, coach. I just want to be on the team. And be part of whatever this is. I want to be. I want to make. I want to. Be part of something bigger than myself. And you've got 1 minute. Do you want to finish up?
Well, I guess, Dean, just thank you from both of us and the Nerds fans for coming on and talking to us about comics. And yeah, we really appreciate that. And thanks for being our first international guest.
No worries. Yeah.
Yeah, we hope you.
I could have thrown some more Australian things in, Too
yeah,
right,
yeah.
Cobber.
I was gonna ask you about the term "under the weather" because it means something very different here. I've heard down there it means hungover, which would be our equivalent.
Yeah. We make anything hungover. Under the weather, under the weather is unwell. I'm not feeling, great.
Okay, so similar.
I'm feeling unwell. But if you're, if you're hungover, you go, I'm feeling, under the weather. You could use that, or feeling seedy. I'm just trying to think. There's some other. We've got a plethora of hungover lines. So.
10 points for using the word plethora in a sentence, by the way.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Irreverent Nerds podcast. If you would, consider following us on Instagram. We are there at irreverent_nerds. You can also hit us up on Facebook. Just look us up there at The Irreverent Nerds. That's our fan page. We have a YouTube channel as well. Once again, The Irreverent Nerds. Nice and simple, right? And if you go to www.irreverentnerds.com, that will send you to our Podcasters for Spotify, formerly Anchor.fm, profile, where you can send us a voice message if you want to, support us financially, or listen to the podcast. It will also direct you to other places you can listen, like Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher, you name it. So, like, comment, subscribe, follow, all those good things, wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us. We would greatly appreciate it. Until next time, nerds, live long and prosper. Avengers assemble! I'm Batman.